So, who are Framestore? Really briefly, you can't read that. We started in 1986. These are our 5 original founders in 1986, looking like a Eurovision Song Contest entry. We started working in commercials mostly. We moved into film in 1994 with the advent of the Harry Potter films. They were some of the first films that we worked on. We worked on every single one of the Harry Potter films. We have offices now in London, which was where we originally started, New York, Los Angeles, and Montreal in Canada. We have about 1,000 employees worldwide, and we're still growing. So there's lots of room for people to come and join us in any of those places. We have won every major award, from Oscars to BAFTAs to Emmys to Sharks to Pencils to you name it, we've won it. And some of the things that make us unique as a visual effects studio is we do our own visual development, which means we have our own art department who do concepting and storyboarding. We have a capture suite, a motion capture suite on site. We work very closely with the Third Floor, who are a pre-visualization company. And we opened Europe's first dedicated virtual reality studio last year. So what is visual effects? What is it we do? So visual effects is the integration of computer-generated imagery with live-action filmed imagery. You can see that obviously in the big Hollywood blockbusters like Gravity that I've got here, but that also includes visual effects is also what you get in the news when they add motion graphics on the bottom of the screen that tell you what's happening, with the weather when they stand in front of a blue screen and the weather comes up behind them. That's all visual effects because it's computer-generated imagery added to live-action imagery. Framestore just works at the very high end of that industry, doing the big Hollywood blockbuster films and high-profile commercials. On a big film project, a visual effects crew can range anywhere from 50 people to 500 people, depending on the size of the project. So something like The Hobbit had a crew probably of about 500 people at its peak. And they can take quite a long time to make. Generally, a visual effects project takes about a year to make. But something like Gravity took us 4 years to make, and we had 400 people on that project for 4 years. So the next slide just tells you a bit more about Framestore. They've got a switch.
And you don't need to touch anything then?
No.
It's all going fine. Right.
My name is Selena Stokes. I've been at Framestore for
12 years, something like that?
4 years full time.
4 months?
So I'm head of traffic.
Junior colorist.
I am a lighting TD.
Oh, is this a question? Yes. Oh, okay, go for it.
What is Framestore?
Oh my god.
Is that a trick question?
No? Yes.
Do you not know?
That's a very good question. I think it's more a question, what don't we do these days?
Framestore is a multinational
team of innovative people.
Do animation, imagery,
creature effects, characters,
Film, commercials, a little bit of TV show.
2D side design.
Doing things like branding.
Weird interactive internet stuff that isn't possible to describe to people.
We clean up faces, we put 3D into pictures.
We add all the awesomeness, the explosions.
We are starting to direct stuff as well.
I would say we tell stories.
We create that wow moment.
It's not something you can explain in a sort of 10-second sentence.
I regularly try and explain to my mum what I do.
Yeah, grandmothers are hard.
I usually name a few projects that we've worked on. Just say
Harry Potter, Avatar.
Everyone's seen the Gecko.
And they're like, oh yeah, little guy, I know him.
And then if my parents ask, I'd just tell them I do sound.
If you're talking to someone and they've seen something that's blown their mind, it's probably, we probably made it. Framestore probably made it. So I think that's actually the best way to talk about Framestore, that if you're seeing something that's blown your mind, the chances are Framestore probably made it.
Why have we stopped? I think we're buffering.
Cause all you fellas be trippin', everybody front like they pimpin'. Cause all you fellas be trippin', everybody front like they pimpin'. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause all you fellas be trippin', everybody front like they pimpin'. Cause all you fellas be trippin', everybody front like they pimpin'. Cause all you fellas be trippin', everybody front like they pimpin'. Cause all you fellas be trippin', everybody Cause all you fellas be trippin', everybody front like they pimpin'. Cause all you fellas be trippin', everybody front like they pimpin'. Cause all you fellas be trippin', everybody front like they pimpin'. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you. Cause I can guarantee you I can do it better than you.
Alright, so we do quite a lot of stuff, and as you can see from our staff, we clearly have a uniform and are very professional in the way we dress at work. But yeah, so visual effects are used when something would be too expensive, too impossible, or too dangerous to actually be filmed in reality. What that means is that what we generate in the computer has to sit in with the live action that they have filmed. And so an understanding of reality, an understanding of science, physics, light, motion, all those things are really important for what we do. However, that's not to forget that ultimately what we're doing is creating beautiful images. So visual effects is very much at that meeting of science and art. And all of the people who work for us fall into somewhere in the middle category there. We put teams together of people who have qualifications in chemistry, physics, biology, maths, computer science, illustration, fine art, art history, theatre production, you name it, the whole gamut, come together to put together the images you see on screen, because all of those skills are relevant to what we do. So what does a career in visual effects look like? There's this really helpful chart. I know that this was produced by an organisation called Interfilm, and Interfilm are here. They're on the Creative Skill Set booth, so they may very well have some of these leaflets around with this picture on, because it's quite useful. So what this shows you is all the different jobs in visual effects, of which there are many. And some of the jobs are more artistic, and some of them are more technical and scientific, and some are sort of somewhere in the middle. And what this really shows you is, so down here you've got the really artistic jobs, and up here you've got the really technical jobs, and then sort of in the middle you've got the ones that merge in between. And what it shows you is how all of those different jobs work together to actually produce the final image. So definitely, if you're interested in this, pop by the Creative Skill Set booth and see if you can get hold of a copy of this. If not, it's available on the Interfilm website, and it will really show you some of the jobs. And they also have a job description for each one on the other side as well. our jobs are varied. As I said, we look for a combination of technical and artistic skills. And by technical, I mean, as I said, sort of scientific, but also an understanding of the computer and computing. So being able to do basic scripts and things like that. On the artistic side, it could be a number of things. It could be an interest in photography or drawing or painting or sculpture. All of those things are relevant to what we do in the computer. Some of the examples of roles that are a combination of the two. So we have what we call effects TDs. And an effect is when we produce fire, smoke, water, rain, snow, any sort of physical simulation when we blow up a building. And obviously you have to understand how those things work. How does water work? How does it run down different surfaces? How does fire work? What temperature is fire when it's this color? What temperature is fire when it's this color? But ultimately, you want that fire to look really pretty. So you've got to be able to understand both. Equally, a lighting TD that's listed there. So a lighting TD is the one who goes, which lights did they have on set? And how do I reproduce those lights in the computer so that this computer-generated character that I've made looks like it was lit by the lights that were on set? So an understanding of light, but also, again, artistically, how do we want this character to look? So those are just some of the roles that have that combination. If none of that sounds like something you want to do, but this still sounds like an industry you're quite interested in, then we do also have our production team. And our production team, if you want to think of it that way, are effectively project managers. That's what they do. They manage our projects. So they're responsible for the schedule. So, when do we have to deliver things to the client? They're responsible for the budget. And they're responsible for making sure that all of the artists, as we call them, who work on our projects, know what they've got to do and when they've got to do it. Around all of that, we have obviously all of the usual departments as well, finance, IT, HR, all of those things as well. So, of course, all of those are options if you're interested. I think the next slide is the video, yes? So the next slide is the making of Paddington Bear, because I really wanted to show you that as a really good example. I'm going to talk over it, so if you could turn the sound, that would be great. So this is one of our most recent projects that we've finished. How many people have seen Paddington? Only a few. So Paddington himself is completely computer generated throughout, obviously, because there aren't bears who walk and talk. So there you've got the model. So that's produced by our modeling department. And he very much is sculpted in the same way as you would sculpt with clay. He's sculpted, but he's sculpted in the computer. But we did have a clay model of him to use as reference. We also had lots and lots and lots of concept drawings from our art department.
Well, my uncle and I hadn't learned much English back then, so there we
So we used the actor performing the voice as reference for our animators. And the animators are the ones who make him move, and they can make him move once our riggers have given him a muscle system. So exactly it's the same as if you were building something in real life. If you've got a model, if you want that model to move, you've got to give it the mechanics by which it can move. And that's what our riggers do. Our animators then animate him. So here's an example of effects. All that water that he's splashing around, that was our effects department.
There it is. Smile, duffel coat. Actually, it was mine first.
Well, long before that, it was mine.
Smile, duffel coat. Actually, it was mine first.
Well, long before that.
So his fur and his coat and his hat, those are all done by what we call our creature effects department. So they do cloth and they do hair and they do fur, and they simulate that in the computer. So you can see how much we use the actor for reference when we're animating. And in the next shot, you'll actually see one of our animators actually acting this sequence out. Yep, so that's one of our animation teams. This is something our animators do quite a lot. If they don't have reference of the actor, they'll act it out themselves and just film themselves doing it.
Is Captain Clyde at home?
I'm afraid not. You see, my father is dead. here. A lovely specimen like you shouldn't be out on the streets. You belong somewhere very special. And I know just the place. Come on, go for a lovely wife.
So in a moment you'll see a shot where he's climbing up the chute using handheld vacuum cleaners. And you'll see the breakdown of how we actually lit that shot in the computer. So all the different layers. So we have to build up a shadow layer, a highlight layer, a color layer. Like you'll see it in a second, just here. They'll break this down. There we go. So these are all the different layers that build up the lighting on that shot. That's one of our animators again. So that's the rig you can see in action there. So as you can see, for something like this, our animators will spend hours and hours and hours on YouTube getting pigeon videos and studying them. Okay, so that was Paddington. Okay, I'm being told I've got time. So, tips for entering the industry if this all sounds like something you want to do. So we have what we call runners, which you actually find across the film and TV industry as this job of a runner. And it's basically a general assistant. In our case, all of our guys work in the office, not on set, because they're all on computers. So it's an office that looks much like any other office. So they're sort of general office assistants. The advantage of being a runner is it gives you exposure to all of the different departments in the business. So you get to see what everybody does, you get to see how they work, and you get to see what might be something that interests you to pursue going forward. A lot of the people that we employ have visual effects degrees, diplomas, various other qualifications, and then come in from those courses because we recruit directly from a lot of visual effects courses around the country. So that's obviously an option. We run an annual summer internship scheme, which is open to people who are studying. So that's something else that you could apply to. We're actually in the process also of introducing 2 apprenticeships in visual effects, which hopefully should go live in the new year. Again, if you want more information about that creative skill set, on their booth should be able to tell you. Obviously, we have just entry-level roles. So we have junior lighting TD, junior animator, junior effects artist. Follow all our social media because that's where we post opportunities, it's where we run competitions, it's where we tell you about how to get a job. And come along to things like this and talk to us because as you can see, as 2 of my colleagues here, we love meeting people and talking to them about careers in this industry. My final slide, our MD always says that a good presentation should end with a picture of a cat. So there's a cat. Thank you very much.